Chairman. I'm going to ask the panel to respond to my two initial questions en masse. First question, since you became a legal adult, have any of you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature? Everybody on the panel, please.
No, Senator.
No, Senator.
Thank you.
No,
Have
Senator.
you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No,
No,
Senator.
Senator.
This is a question for Ms. Milgram. We all know that our country is in the throes of an opioid crisis. I would like to point out that Hawaii continues to be plagued by meth, and Honolulu actually just set a 5-year high for drug-related deaths with 197 such deaths in 2020, and this was largely driven by meth overdoses. I know that you are going to be very focused on the opioid crisis, and I'm glad that you mentioned that there is an overlap of health and behavioral health aspects to this addiction, but I hope that you will also allocate DA resources to ensure that issues like the meth problem in Hawaii do not get short shrift as the agency focuses on the opioid crisis.
Senator, thank you. Thank you for that question. And I share your concern about methamphetamine. In the United States, there are large quantities of methamphetamine and other narcotics coming across borders, being shipped by mail. And so this is a critical aspect, and it's part of the core mission of the DEA. So you have my assurance that if I'm confirmed, that it will continue to be part of that core mission.
Thank you. Mr. Du, I'm glad that we had a chance to talk briefly. And you mentioned in our discussion, and you also said today that the heart of the immigration system is the processing of applications. And there is a huge backlog on the processing of various kinds of applications where sometimes people have to wait months and months for applications to be processed. So I would like to have your commitment, as you did in our discussion, that this will be one of the first areas that you will address, because you do consider the processing of applications to be at the heart of what USCIS does.
Thank you so much, Senator, and I really appreciate the time we had together. You absolutely have my commitment on that. It is my top priority.
You have been with the USCIS during the Obama administration, and why are you choosing to return to an office that you have been before?
Thank you, Senator. I understand the intrinsic value of a functioning legal immigration processing agency, and that's what USCIS does. I have been on the Hill. I have taken those phone calls from constituents. I have seen it myself in my life. At USCIS, when I was chief counsel, I saw that the simple act of opening an envelope with an application can create backlogs if not done well, and I also understand that partner agencies are really important to the process. So I look forward to using the relationships and the knowledge that I have already gained in my time working on the Hill and at USCIS to now convert it into working as the director of the agency.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, just as Ms. Jadot, you are going back to an agency with which you have a lot of experience. So how do you think the experience of your previous experience with ATF will help you in your role as director?
Thank you for that question. It's a great question. Much of that experience, I was an agent, and I know what it takes to do that job, so I think I'll be able to connect with the employees that I would lead. But I also know how important it is for a leader to be accountable, and that's what I want to be for the troops.
You've been asked a number of questions about whether or not, obviously you have been an advocate for sensible gun safety legislation, but I just want to note for the record that, of course, you will be enforcing the law. So you'll be following the law, something that I wish some people in the previous administration also did. So when we look at the issue of gun violence, and even as we speak, there is a mass shooting apparently happening in California, that there are those among us who think that the way to deal with the scourge of gun violence in our country is to enable ever more guns in our country. And Mr. Chapman, while I don't expect you to weigh in on that point, it is very clear, is it not, that there's nothing in the Constitution that prevents Congress or the states from enacting sensible gun ownership laws, is there?
Senator, I think that it is well within the powers of Congress to balance the rights we have under the Constitution and the responsibility as a nation to keep us safe.
Well, and while the Supreme Court did decide in Heller, there are a lot of us who do not agree with that particular Supreme Court decision. My time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Hirono.